I can tell you've been gone for a while.
I don't know what I'm doing. It's been so long.
What was all this put in here? I will grab them. They will be mine. Oh yes.
They will be mine. What's that from?
That's it. Wayne's World.
It is?
I even remember seeing it.
Wayne's World.
Because he's talking about the guitar.
Excellent.
Leaf group.
Is that how they did it? Did they do it like this? How did they? It was like this? It was jazz hands down? That doesn't seem right. I don't know. Diddly-doo, diddly-doo, diddly-doo. That's how I can start the show.
You can do whatever you want.
Diddly-doo, diddly-doo, diddly-doo. Your Opinion Stinks opens the conversation on a hot-button business topic.
And flips it on its head.
Hosted by a wellness coach
And a business coach.
we break down conventional business.
While building entrepreneurs up for success. Who will you agree with?
Welcome to Your Opinion Stinks. I'm Tanisha.
And I'm Tim. Hi guys, we haven't seen you guys in a long time.
Season 2.
So if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit that alert button so that way you know of any new shows that come up, especially because we've been away for a while. And if you're on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts, don't forget to subscribe and download it to your device. That way you have it. But on top of that, join our new group.
What's the group called, Timothy?
Upliftpreneur.
What?
So you can find us at youropinionstinks.com/uplink. You'll get all of the good stuff, plus the extra content that we don't even put on YouTube or iTunes in there.
Uplink?
Uplift.
Oh, you sound like you said uplink.
No. Uplift.
Yes. I'm sorry.
It's been a while.
I'm out of practice, y'all. Yes.
Yes.
So today's episode is like, hey, I have a business.
You have been away for a while.
But hey, I have a business, and everybody seems to be getting into podcasts with their business, and all these like brands and celebrities are getting in the podcast game.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard about it in a while, and now all of a sudden everybody has a podcast. I wonder if my business is ready to do that.
So that's what we're talking about. All right.
Well, if you're wondering that, you came to the right place.
All right. I'm going to throw a curveball real quick.
Oh, okay.
So I will give you the link to this just so you can see it, or I'll take a screenshot or whatever. I don't know. So just so you know that podcasts have made this resurgence as being a way for businesses to build their communities and put out content and stuff. When you start seeing news media do it, it gets really crazy. Like Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
She did a limited series.
Yeah, she did a short one. Mm-hmm.
And the dude before her, Chris
MSNBC's been cranking out a lot of them. I think it must be part of a larger strategy.
And I think Fox is doing it too, and CNN. I'm not so sure, but I'm almost certain they have to have people that have pockets. Hannity, I believe, has one.
Does he?
I think so.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
but he's had hits for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's how he transitioned into
the
thing. I'm not so sure. He
I
did something on his own. Either way, this is the curveball. So I'm on Indeed.com. I like to see what the market bears and stuff. And it just so happens I just did this as we were doing this. This company out in DC is offering a full-time position at $70,000 to $75,000 a year for a podcast producer in-house. So that tells you that businesses are really looking at this thing, and we're going to break it down and you know, and really get to the nitty-gritty as to why you might want to consider adding a podcast to what you're doing.
And how to be strategic about it. So Statista.com. Statista.
That is really weird
For
a name.
I like it.
It's hard.
Statista?
Oh, well, you make it sound easy. Okay.
Statista.com has some metrics on podcasts and podcasting and who's doing it and when and where and why.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to talk a couple of stats that they had that were very interesting. One,
Inside joke about coffee.
making fun of my coughing. So what if sometimes in the morning I cough for a long time like an old man?
In a corner of the room rocking chair that doesn't rock, but it's big and comfy.
I'm not in a chair. It's when I wake up.
Like you're taming a beast.
I'm trying not to be annoying. And so I'm like, okay, maybe if I do one really hard one, I can be done with it and stop annoying my husband. But then I don't quite get it, so I got to do it again. I'm sorry. I love you.
All right.
So, for example, in the U.S. in 2019, 74% of consumers listen to podcasts to learn new things. 74% of people buying stuff, they're listening to podcasts.
Which is really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as of 2019, there are an estimated 86 million podcast listeners in the United States, a number which is forecast to grow to around 132 million by 2022.
Jeez.
And that's just in the U.S.
That's every single Gen X and baby boomer being like, yeah, I'm in this world of podcasts.
And since
that's ridiculous.
And we have people already listening to us all over the world, so it's not even including all of those numbers.
Yeah. Like one of the things that I think that's really amazing about this platform is it took from pretty much from talk radio and evolved into this kind of like citizen journalism. So I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah.
So we'll have a link at youropinionstinks.com for this episode, so you can go see some of those statistics for yourself if you're interested. So now we can talk about some of the benefits of podcasting, because that's a lot of people to be able to grab their ear. So one is positioning your business as a thought leader in your field.
When I think about what podcasting has done for me as a entrepreneur, but even just as an enthusiast of things, it's amazing how it automatically gives you this position and this voice that in some ways you think, only my mom might listen type deal, But then when you actually start
care about this.
But when you actually start having people respond to it and actually seek it out, it totally changes everything. And not too long ago, I did a workshop, actually from Studio B, and I ended up getting a couple people to join into our group. But the thing that was the trigger point was the fact that podcasting elevated me, and I was able to talk about how that positioning, put me in a space of being a thought leader.
Yeah.
I went and visited my mother, your mother-in-law, and she made mention to someone at a gathering about what I do and what we do, and they instantly went and just pulled out their phone and started and subscribed.
Oh, that's so great.
That's the power, I believe, of podcasting, is that it's not something that everyone is doing. It's not something that everyone can do. So then when you do it, you automatically put yourself in a different space. Every business owner should have some type of content as part of their business. And I think podcasting is just
it can be a fantastic avenue.
Yeah, I
for
think
that.
it works really well for people. Yeah.
Because that segues into the next thing, talk directly to current and potential customers and clients.
That I think is a bigger part of it, because I think we come to a point where we all have to move towards content, and people want to know who we are now. It's not so much we can hide behind a computer, send out an email, and it just consistently moves. Like now, emails have been used so much for broadcast messaging and for marketing in that vein that it's not as personal. Like the moment that you send out an email and it says hi first name.
Yeah. It's like people caught on to that. People.
Yeah. It's like you couldn't even check this to see that it's actually saying my name in your list that I subscribe to.
Oh, you mean when they make a mistake?
Yeah, and then you get the first name. Yeah. Yeah.
Whoops.
So
didn't put that code in quite right.
Right. So that list is shot.
Right.
But no, there's some people strategically that do that and it works out really well. But that's some advanced email marketing. But that's neither here nor there. The whole thing of it is the moment someone becomes a subscriber and they purposely seek you out for your content, they feel like they're a part of the process, especially when you start figuring ways to bring them in, and then you kind of give them some shine. Yeah.
And the last one I'll touch on is that it can be an avenue for target customer research.
Yeah, depending on how you do your stats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, just getting engagement from them and seeing what they like, what they don't like, and or asking them directly a question and having that conversation as part of your podcast.
Yeah, the more that there's opportunities for your listeners to be included in the process, the more that they tend to tag along. Yeah. So as we are like going through this, I found another one that proves that podcasting is relevant. Gimlet Media, which you're familiar with. They're responsible for the Wall Street Journal, and they are looking for a producer for the Wall Street Journal's Gimlet podcast. Again, now that's a media outlet. That's not even a corporation. Yeah.
And Brooklyn.
BK. For all my people from BK.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jesus and Miro. That's all I got. And I have cousins in BK, but I'm sorry.
So, here are some things to consider before starting a podcast for your business, because we need to be strategic about this. First thing to consider is, do you have the resources to begin, including a monthly budget for hosting and the time to invest?
When it comes to running a show, there isn't much expense depending on how you do it. The biggest expense really up front is the gear, because it all depends on how good you want to sound, or in some cases how good you want to be seen. So I think advice-wise, it's just one of those, how good do you want to be versus how much can you spend on doing that? Like, do you have like penthouse like taste, and was it caviar taste and
It's a is a champagne taste? No. It's something about I know what you're trying to say.
You guys can tell us what it is in the comments. I don't know, but you know what I mean. But it's the whole thing of, I want to sound like I'm in like the best audio studio in the world, and you have, under $500. But the good news is you can do it for under 100. But that's another thing for another time. But yeah, the biggest thing is really hosting and promotion. And I think that's where it's a tripping point, because most people start on free stuff. Like SoundCloud.
Because can you start a podcast like for super, super cheap?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
but it might sound like crap.
Depends, yeah. Like, if you know how to use a computer, there's ways around having cheap equipment and being able to make yourself sound good, but it does take some technique.
Yeah.
If you can invest in a couple things. One is a quality microphone. That's basically where everything starts, is how good does your mic sound. And we went through a few iterations on mics before we settled on what we're using.
Mm-hmm.
So, do what you can with that. And the second thing is a way to get the sound. And I'm going to try to see if I can show you guys.
Ooh.
So I know that looks like spaghetti hell, but this is what it's called, an audio interface. And this one's happened to be made by my favorite company, Native Instruments. And I makes great stuff. But these are a little bit of an investment. But if you just search for audio interface, you could find a good bit in reasonable prices depending on your budget.
And the time to invest.
Learning curve.
There's a learning curve to doing it.
Yeah.
However, the next point, do you want to outsource production or keep it in-house? So what you were just talking about is relevant if you're going to do it in-house.
Yeah.
But maybe you're thinking, I don't want to deal with all that. I heard through the grapevine that there are companies that will do this for me.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, so I can just tell them what to do and they can do it and I don't have to put in any time. That's not true.
That's not true. I'm glad you're moving in that direction. I have a friend online who runs a podcast agency. Oh. And they're a one-stop shop. All you have to do is just show up online. And they handle all the tech. They handle all the production. And it's really, really great if it's just you. But the moment you add a second voice, you add a complication. So I guess there's a couple things that I want to share to help you guys kind of figure out which way makes sense. Like when you're sending stuff out and you're working with an engineer, you got to keep in mind that they are not sitting right beside you or in front of you. And you kind of want to give them a little bit of room rather than like having a lot of big expectations. Mm-hmm. Like for one thing, Tanisha actually does this, and she had to learn how to do this. So this kind of lends into some of what we're talking about. One of the things that's a big knock is recording multiple voices and having it all in one file. And then all of a sudden, someone sounds really, really faint and far. And it's like they're doing that thing with the bottles and their fingers.
ASMR.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's someone who has a booming voice, and they're like really front and omnipresent. And then, you can't level it.
Fix that.
So if you're working with someone and say that we need to do some type of technologically wizardry.
Technological wizardry?
Thank you. There we go. Someone does that. Then kind of give them the room for them to do it, because what they're trying to do is produce a better product for you. Another thing is be mindful of your recording area. Again, since they're remote, most of them. Sometimes they forget that a baby does sound like a baby when a baby recorded. So when a baby is recorded. So like the training we were listening to today or yesterday, and then you hear the baby cooing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was adorable.
It was, but if you're doing it for your business, it might not be the best thing to do. So be mindful of your pets.
Or it could be really charming.
Or your babies, or anything that can't be silenced. Phones, devices, things like that, because they all come up in the recording.
Yes.
That's just a couple things.
So,
let me ask you a question.
Oh.
So, what's your feeling on either doing in-house production or outsourcing?
I think it depends on what your business goals are and what your budget is.
Okay.
Because Maybe, for example, maybe you don't have someone in-house who has the charisma to host it, and you don't have the expertise, and you feel like the learning curve would be really difficult.
Right.
That may be, and you have the budget.
Yeah.
That's a reason to like, okay, maybe I need to outsource this. But if you have one or two or three people in-house who are ready to commit time to this, you have the resources, you're able to invest in a little bit of equipment, and you're willing to let it grow, as you go along, and then great. But either way, you need to be prepared to invest time
And money.
and money
And energy.
and energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like with any other marketing tool, if you're going to work the tool, you got to take into consideration it needs to have time to work. So, yeah.
So the last point I'll bring up is, does your topic support hundreds of episodes?
That is a good one.
Is it, and with the caveat, it can't be too broad, because then it won't be really relevant to anyone. It can't just be, I'm going to do a podcast on nutrition, all things nutrition. Like, that's probably not what you want to do.
No, you have to niche it down. So.
Niche it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, how else will we sell our nutritional products?
All of them for everyone.
All of them for everyone, for everything. That's not a compelling podcast. But if you niche that down, you can't be all things to all people.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And thinking about that, I think of like a couple of podcasts that come to mind. Swift Kick Show. I'm not doing it for an internal plug. It's just when I'm thinking about it.
Our sister show.
The whole thing of that show is it falls along this theme of entrepreneurship. But because I lean heavily into the online space, most of the people that I bring on fit within that world, or it caters to helping those particular people. So it kind of niched itself, per se. When I think of my friend Joel, he runs a show called Sold with Webinars. As you can guess, his main theme is webinars. And with each episode that he does, he talks to either an expert or someone who's went through a webinar launch or something, and you get to learn the mechanics of it. It's a really great podcast, man, if you're trying to learn how the webinar world works. And when I think of another one that's kind of a niche.
But even with your show, Swift Kick Show,
Yeah.
It's for people who want to go from wannapreneur to entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So it's not for necessarily the advanced people.
Oh, no. It's a very entry-level
like
show.
You targeted it with who it's for.
Yeah, for the people that's looking for the first steps.
Yeah, those first steps.
Yeah, so it is actually pretty niche.
Yeah.
The last one I was thinking about was Tiny Leaps, Big Changes. And that's Greg Clunas, who's actually going to be at Podcast Movement speaking there. His show is a small show, but it's super niche because it's all about quick examinations of performance. So it's for the person that needs like some quick motivation or quick performance, and they're just trying to get something that's like under 15 minutes. Those type of things you got to consider when you're niching. Is like, who am I talking to? How much time do they have? What do they need? And how can I deliver it? And still be under budget. Yeah.
So what do you think of, like you brought up earlier, Rachel Maddow, how she had that mini series. It was like 6 episodes, I think, and that's all it was going to be. She was telling a story. Now, that was most likely part of a larger strategy that MSNBC was doing.
I figure so. Yeah.
To bring in some ad revenue probably in the later episodes, but also get people sort of throwing it out as a test, like, would
and also
our
probably
viewers listen to this stuff? Oh, it was great. All right, let's make some more stuff.
Yeah.
But do you see a reason for a company to choose, someone who's just starting out, like, okay, I'm just starting out this thing for my business. I'm not sure about it. Is there a reason to do just a mini series
versus take on a long
it needs
long
to
series.
be hundreds of episodes that you can get from different angles?
That's a good question. I think it falls more along the lines of who do you have already that love you. Because when we bring up someone like Rachel, she already has an embedded audience.
Yes.
So the moment that she even squeaks out, I'm doing X.
Yeah. People
are on it. So I think that doing something like a mini series or short format or small format or a limited run or anything like that only really works well with two factors.
Okay.
The first one, embedded audience, people that you can already send people to your show, or two, paid traffic. Because if you're doing a micro series, a mini series, and you know it's only going to be 6 episodes,
so
then you could just send a whole bunch of traffic to it all the time.
So I imagine it matters a lot on what your end goal is.
Absolutely.
So if you're like, as you're talking, I was thinking I could imagine a scenario in which an organization is thinking, okay, we have a really important month coming up for us, like Autism Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And they decide to do, okay, we're going to do this mini series of podcasts, and we're prepared to throw some money at it, some paid traffic, and it's going to integrate with all the other things we're doing. So we're going to talk about being in these places, they're doing live events, and we're going to talk about autism and awareness, but we're also going to plug all these other little things. So it's sort of part of a whole strategy. And it's only 4 episodes or 8 episodes or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. It's like, I'll make something up for one of our members that's inside of the group. D. She actually just launched her book, and I should have had it up here so I can show it to everybody. But I'll do something else. But she does collections. She was on the Swick Kick show. That's why I could mention her. She does collections for her business. Let's say she decided she wanted to do a limited run. She may do 6 episodes on 6 different topics that can range for, that can probably be like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and talk each separate one about an aspect of the collection world. Like how someone is leaving money on the table, what that looks like. It could be, the process of actually doing the phone call. It could be the process of actually having the conversation, what that feels like, you can bring somebody into that world. And if she did something like that, that's what I imagine for her business. And she could just send a whole bunch of people to it.
Yeah.
All the time.
And it could remain a part of her marketing. She makes
absolutely.
it evergreen.
Yeah.
And then it's also anyone who she gets as a potential client, or
She could just send
someone
them to
who
it, yeah.
even ends up saying no. And if they're not familiar with the podcast, I'm like, okay, I understand. I hope you'll take a listen to this series I did. It may still help you get some. And if you ever decide to take another look at this, I hope you'll think of me. And boom.
And that's just an example off the top of our head of that anybody can apply if they were doing something like that. But again, it depends on what your outcome is. What you want the outcome to be.
What do you want the outcome to be?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we'll leave it there.
Cool.
Take us home.
All right. Well, again, nice seeing you guys. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that alert button. You get the episodes when they go up. iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts, subscribe and download so that we have it on you every time you're on travel. And join our group. It's totally free for you to be there. And it's a lot of fun because we have a whole bunch of stuff in it. youropinionstinks.com/uplift.
Yes. And if you have a business and you're thinking, all right, I think I'm ready to get into this podcasting thing. If you become a part of the group, you'll see an opportunity to be a part of our membership.
Yes.
Our monthly membership, and part of the proceeds go to charity.
Yearly membership.
Oh, sorry, yearly membership.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yes, it's annual.
Annual membership.
And it's made affordably priced for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as a bonus, you get a program that will show you how to step by step
Yeah, how to do this whole podcasting thing.
do the podcasting thing strategically and and do it so that it really fits into your business and you avoid a lot of the mistakes that people make while they're starting out. And you want to make sure if you're going to invest the money, the time, the effort into it, that it pays off. So.
And again, it's like super reasonably priced, and we're like doing something really cool.
Yeah.
But yes, join the group, learn more. Upliftpreneur is what it is, and youropinionstinks.com/uplift. And with that, I'm Tim.
I'm Tanisha, and remember, opinions are not facts. Do your research and have fun in the fight. Bye-bye.